What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Tough Runs Don't Last podcast. I'm Grandpa on this screen. That's Michelle on the other. Say what's popping, Michelle.
What's poppin', Michelle?
Oh, not much. Before we get going, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor. The Tough Runs Don't Last podcast is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: 5K, 10K, half marathon, a marathon, and the one of a kind Rhino Ultra. You can sign up for one or all 5 of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run your race at your convenience, track it with your fitness app of choice. Screenshot your results as proof of completion. Submit that screenshot to rhinoraces.com under the submit results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section while you're there for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. That's rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series. And you can find us, the Tough Runs Don't Last podcast, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on X, Instagram, and TikTok at TR Don't Last. While Michelle pets an invisible cat, or a translucent cat, translucent-ish.
Yeah, translucent-ish.
Okay. Been watching The Boys, and that's one of the superheroes' names on there is translucent. And now we can see the cat. That's Furpa, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, what's your race schedule been like, Michelle, since we've had an episode a couple weeks ago?
I have not had any races since then. My next race is next weekend.
Yes, and mine as well. I did one race since we last saw everyone. It was I guess we can start with that. It was the Scorchin Squirrel 20-mile trail run. Now, and this was off of Ferncliff Road in Little Rock, which is near the 4-H Center. Very, very hilly, very lots of forestry, beautiful area to go have a trail race. Lots of elevation too. That did not disappoint. There was plenty of that. I almost, I was conflicted. I didn't know. I was thinking, man, it would have been cool to maybe have the show the day after Scorching Squirrel, just to see how I looked and how I was speaking, etc. I talked to you well, not immediately after. Um, Let me start with this. It was the hardest race I've ever done. It's the hardest race I've done. Before that, it was my first ever marathon in 2011, which was the Hog-Eye Marathon back when it was in Fayetteville. It was a tough course, or a tougher course then. It was also my first marathon, so I didn't know how to really prep or how to handle things during the race, etc. I didn't know anybody 15 years ago that did this stuff. So I just kind of had to go figure it out. And I did so by making a lot of mistakes. But that's still the only time I've ever thrown up from any type of conditioning was after the hog eye. And I was at least finished. And I love the hog eye, but I blame them a little bit because they didn't have any cold water afterward. It was just like boiling hot water that had been in the sun. At least it might as well have been boiling hot. That's how it felt when they gave it to me. And I tried to drink some of it. It did not settle well with me. Might have thrown up anyway. Who knows? But the cold water would have been nice. Um, and my stomach didn't agree with it. And I ended up going over by the whatever that building is in the middle of the Fayetteville Square and just throwing my guts up by the steps there in front of everybody. And it was pretty funny. Not so much at the time for me, but everybody else found it funny. But yeah, that's still the only time I've ever puked from conditioning. I did not feel well. I'd say after Scorching Squirrel, but even during on there when we started loop 4, how it works is it's a 4 loop course. You have an option of doing 1, 2, 3, or 4 loops, and the first loop is a little over a 10K. It's like 7 point something miles because you finish the loop and then you're not done after the loop. When you get done with the loop, you have another 1.5 miles to go to the finish, which is what they call, and I learned this afterward, but I learned of it during, called Hell's Hill. And it was just this for what felt like an eternity. And just doing one loop would be tough for many. My brother and I would just didn't really have a time in mind. I never really do at a trail race because you go so much slower than a road race anyway. And if you don't know the course, you don't know what it's going to be like. And I didn't. So we just said we're just finishing. The goal was 4 loops. We're just like we're not quitting. We're doing 4 loops no matter what. But after loop 3, we were gassed. Now they had a really good aid station, really good aid stations throughout the course. Wonderful people, volunteers involved. Had everything you would want, plenty of water. And this is the first time I ran with a vest, by the way. I bought a vest about 4 days prior, A plus vest. I can't remember the name of it because I'd shout them out if I could remember the name, but it's just one I bought off of Amazon, like $37, and had a couple bottles. And the the soft kind you can roll up and tuck back in if you want to do that. But yeah, vest was awesome. My first time ever running with a vest. Which when we started out, I was thinking, man, I wish I would have just brought my bottle because I saw people carrying a bottle, but they weren't doing 4 loops either. Um, but I was like, I wish I would just brought a bottle because I don't want to wear this the whole time. But then, like 2 loops in, I was like, man, I'm really glad I brought this vest because I would have hated to carry that bottle for 20 miles. I don't like carrying the bottle on my 5 mile run. I mean, I always have to switch hands. I mean, but it's nice to have water, especially this time of year. Do you ever run with a bottle or anything like that? You've run with a vest before.
That's the only time I've ever done that. But I didn't mind it. I've never run holding something because I would hate that. I know I would hate that. So I've always run with a belt. I have a running belt that I run every single race with so that I can put stuff in that. But the the half marathon attempt was the first time I ran with a vest, but I loved it. I would use again.
The one that we did, right? The one that you're talking about
Yeah.
that you can see on our vlog, by the way,
Yeah.
on YouTube. Tough runs don't last vlog. Um, okay, does the belt have water bottles? Because my brother ran with me, Ben, which by the way it made the run 100 times more enjoyable than it probably would have been otherwise. Now I don't mind running alone. I do it most of the time. If anything, I can just get lost in my own thoughts or just the stuff around me. But when you're out there, because we were out there almost 5.5 hours, my official time was 5:28:15 or something, which is off because we crossed 5:26, I think, something like that, according to my watch. But it goes back to the trail races being a little more laid back. I think we didn't have, you know, timing chips or anything like that. It's just when all right, they crossed, that's the number. They had 4 holes punched in their bib. I'll explain that in a second. All right, when they come in, look at the clock, put it down, and there's your time. So um, it didn't matter to me. I didn't care about that. But yeah, we were out there for so long. It was nice to have somebody to run with. Um, Going back to the hole punch thing, how they kept up with your loops or made sure you did as many as you said you did, I guess. Um, they would, after each loop, they would hole punch your bib. And then they would just determine how many laps you did by how many holes you had punched in your bib. So I had 4, and Ben did 2. We were the last official finishers. No, 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 we weren't. We were the last official finishers for the people that did 4 loops. I think there was only like 11 that did 4 loops. I could be wrong on that, but I think my brother said that out of 100 plus people that were out there running. So we were one of the 11 to do that. Even then, we weren't the last people to come in. There was somebody that did 3 loops, I think, that came in an hour and 20 minutes or so later than we did, something like that. But it was an awesome race. Going back to the aid stations, they were set up throughout. This is the middle of August in Arkansas, so it was very hot. But fortunately, for most of the course, you were covered by foliage. You had lots of shade from the trees, etc. I mean, it was a true trail course. It was uneven. You would run through water in spots, even with it being as hot as it was. Um, Another shout out to Features socks, which are just absolute game changers. Uh, Example of the importance of socks. I did a half marathon training run with some friends yesterday, and my sock, which was a dry fit sock, it wasn't pulled up enough over my heel that I ended up getting a pretty nice blister that I'm rocking today just because they weren't pulled up high enough. I wouldn't have had that problem if I had the features on. But the socks are very important for something like that, especially a trail run, because it doesn't matter how tight you have your shoe, it's going to be all over the place because of just the terrain, because your ankle is going every which way or you're landing every which way when you move. It's not like a road race where it's a steady, flat landing that you're going to have. There, it's going to be different every step that you take usually in a trail race. So um, socks are important. Shout out to Features there. But we after going back to when we finished Luke 3, that's when I started to feel, I wouldn't say queasy, but I was starting to feel uh I was starting to feel pretty fatigued, and I was thinking we need to scale it back a little bit, or a lot of bit. Otherwise I'm going to get sick or something. And Ben felt the same way. We walked most of the, I'd say 90% of Loop 4 we walked, just because we were recovering a large portion of the time. And there is a lot of incline. So when we got to where we felt like running again, and I was actually feeling better than he was at that point. And I would look and see, I'd say, all right, let's run to the incline, or let's run to that. Um, there was blue tape along the course next to trees that indicated where to follow. So I would say either let's run to the incline or let's run to the blue tape, and we would do that. And I wouldn't say this was my favorite portion of the course. I don't know what I'd say was, but um, probably just anywhere flat and being covered by the foliage. But there's a portion that's opened up, and I don't know what you call it. It's when you see it throughout, just hills and mountains everywhere. There's part of the forestry that's cut out, and then they have electrical lines, power lines. What are those big things, or what do you call that? Do you know?
I would just call them power lines, but I'm sure they have a different name.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we came out to a portion of that was a good quarter mile or more, maybe even closer to a half a mile. And it was all downhill. Like you come out of the foliage and then you run down that thing. Like you run down that hill and then you cut off and then go back into the woods. And it's so steep that you can't, it's not too steep, but it is a steady just going downhill. And you can either kind of take your time and try to ease your way down it, but for me it was a lot easier to just go, to just basically say, all right, let's just run this thing, let's let the momentum carry us down there. And so I sprinted all four times down that thing, and it was also a little bit more steady terrain because you're running on grass mostly. And no, it was, there were some spots where you had to be careful, but it wasn't like you were running through the trail and you just had all this terrain that was all over the place. This one you could really just kind of send it, and that's what I did. I said, all right, let's go. And so I would just sprint down the hill, and once you got back into the trees, there was another water station with, and by the way, the water ice cold everywhere. Like they had ice cold water for us everywhere. It was great. Um, And also, like if you were too tired, like they would fill up your water bottle for you. Like the volunteer, like they'd say, "Hey, just give me your bottle. I'll fill it up real quick. Go get something to eat or something." Uh, which I ate two pieces of watermelon. I think I had that on loop three, at the end of loop three. That was all I wanted to eat. Ben was over there wolfing down goo and food and all kinds of stuff during the thing, and um, really didn't have any issues. But yeah, I don't know. It was a good time. Finishing up at okay. So I'll just go to the finish at this point. Do you have any questions about it? I know I told you a little bit about it.
No, I don't have any questions, but I think it's kind of funny. You started this by asking a question about a running belt and then just went into the race and never finished the question that you were asking.
Okay, yeah. The question I was going to ask before we get to the finish: does your running belt have like bottles?
No,
I guess water
it
bottles.
does not. No.
That's the thing. Ben has a he doesn't run with a vest. Ben, my brother, but he has a belt with water bottles attached to it, and he likes that. But I'm a fan of the vest. I don't know if I would like the belt as much, but I am a fan of the vest. Huge fan of the vest.
I wouldn't want water bottles on my belt. I think that would be too much happening. I want it in the vest. I want it to be more secure than a belt.
Yeah, he likes his all right. So, but yeah, I'm a fan of the vest. Big fan of that. But going to the finish, unless there's something else I missed.
I don't think so.
All right. Um, so we finished loop four officially, and according to the website, it was approximately 19.5 miles, and we were at like 19.18. And I even had an idea. Let's sub five this thing. Like, hey, we can come in under 5 hours on this. So I was really kind of amped up and trying to go and finish. And they said, "You sure? Like, hey, you want to fill up your water bottles? You still got another mile and a half to go, and that's a pretty steep incline." And I was thinking, "No, we'll be all right. It's fine." And I'm thinking she must have meant half a mile. No, she didn't. She was right. It was another mile and a half, um, or so, and little over a mile, I'd say, was more accurate. But yeah, she wasn't kidding. It was a very steep incline the whole way, pretty at least until we got to the top, and that was Hell's Hill, and it was so steep that I got to where I would have to take breaks throughout, like walking up it. I would look at a tree, and it could have been sometimes 20 feet away, sometimes 30 feet, 30, 40 feet. And I would just have to go pick a tree and then just go climb up to it and then just rest at the tree for a while and catch my breath. At one point, I found um, it was a rock, and it just looked like it was a decent enough rock to sit on. So I just sat on the rock for a while while I caught my breath. Ben said he didn't want to do that because he was like, it'd be a lot harder to get back up. And I was just like, I have to sit down. I got nothing left. At least that's what it felt like. He was doing way better than I was at that point. He could have kept going, but he didn't. He waited for me to recover. And we eventually got up there, but it took a lot longer than I wanted or would have anticipated. And you keep and it was deceiving too. Like you would keep hoping, like, okay, is that the top? And then you would get up there, and then you'd see, okay, there's even further to go. And it was like that two or three times. And like at one point, I just kind of chuckled. I was like, "You've like this is just comical at this point." But we did eventually get to the top, and you didn't have to go down as steep. At some portions of the race, you did. I mean, you'd be going straight down, and you would have to like gallop down. If you didn't gallop, it was a lot harder to get down there. You could have easily slipped and fallen. But This one was just more windy on the way down. We did it. Um, we got down. We saw that like the camp area. We got to the finish and we walked to the through the finish line because it was on an incline. And he and I just walked through at the same time. Um, and they said, "Hey," they saw our holes punched in our bibs, and I said 4 loops, and we're like, "Yep." And then that was it. We went and now they had a pool right there that you could get into. They had these showers that were out there by the pool, and people were just standing under it, and you just pull the chain, and then water comes out. People were just in all their running gear, just getting drenched with this. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that too because I was filthy. My shoes had never, my trail running shoes had never been so dirty. Um, I was like, hey, this would be a good way to clean up too, like clean off my shoes and my legs and all that. So I did that. Well, I just sat under that ice cold shower thing for at least 2 minutes. I mean, it was cold, but felt great. And rinsed off, and I'm just drenched, fully clothed, and I'm just drenched at this point. And I had all I'd had to eat was those 2 pieces of watermelon. I didn't feel like eating, but I felt like I needed to put something in me too. So I go get a burger there, and it was well cooked. It was well seasoned. It was still warm. I think it was pretty freshly cooked. They had all the toppings were good and all that. The bread was a little stale, but it had been out for a while, so that was okay. And I make it as well as I can, put the mayo on it and everything. I take a bite, and it was just like, ugh. I just couldn't. It just wasn't good. Now, it was good, but it was just not agreeing with me. Now, I still managed to eat after sitting there a while. I managed to eat 2/3 of it. That was all I could handle. Then I got to the car. I changed right there because I was thinking, going into this, I was thinking, all right, we're going to do the race. I'm going to go back to the car, switch into some swim trunks, go swim, uh, bring my change of clothes, go in the bathroom. They had changing rooms in there. I was going to go in there and change and then comfortably get out and go home. No. Once I got to my car, I would have had to come back uphill to go back to the site. Once I got back to my car, I was like, no, I'm changing right here. Like I had a towel, my towel slash car seat cover thing, which works as both. I just wrapped that around me. I changed right there. I put the put the cover back over my seat, got in the car, and turned the air on. Just blasted the air for a little bit. And once I was able to kind of, I don't know, get myself ready to where I could drive, I called you. Called you right before I left. And how did I sound to you?
You sounded terrible. I would have said it was the worst I'd ever heard you sound, but then I talked to you yesterday. So it was the second worst that I'd ever heard you sound. Like you just sounded tired and you weren't really talking much at all. And we didn't get to talk too long because I was pulling up to my friend's house, but yeah, you sounded not good.
Yeah. Yeah, as I was starting to like tell you just about it, you were like, I hate to do this, but I gotta go. So
Yeah.
be safe going home or whatever you said. But yeah, made it home, showered, and I don't know that I did anything else the rest of the day. It was very chill day from therefore or for the rest of the day. I was sore for at least 3 days after. I went for a run. I took all Sunday off. I went for a run that Monday. I went and did a cryotherapy session. Finally got my dad to go with me. And I felt great after that, but it was still a very hard training run. Like I shouldn't have done it. Probably shouldn't have done it. Probably needed to rest more. But at the same time, I was like, I need to get this work in. So I did, and but I didn't start to feel right until Thursday. Even then, I was still a little tight. Just a few days ago at this point. But I got it done, and yeah, and then I turned around. I took Friday off. I was planning to run Friday, but I knew I was going to run early Saturday morning, yesterday morning, and I did that instead. Just took Friday off and did a uh, long training run yesterday morning in Searcy at Berry Hill Park, I believe is the name of it. But a few people from a few friends of mine, a couple of which are from my run club. I met up with them. My buddy David was one of them. He's training for a 100-mile race in November, at the end of November. So he got in 20 miles yesterday, and he's doing better than I am right now because he finished strong and killed it. Um, the other two I ran with Morgan and Logan. Morgan is a fast runner and kind of has one speed go. So we were planning to run we said we're going to run like a 9 minute pace for this first loop, which was Logan and David's second. It was a 6 mile loop. And that's not what happened. We ended up doing like an 8 minute pace, 750, 745 at times. And I was like, well, they're going. I don't want to drag them down. So I'm going to keep up with them. So I did. I ran that pace for the first loop. And Morgan bolted after that because she was like, I'm hiking later and I got a 10-mile run tomorrow. But I mean, 6 mile run's pretty good day. But me and David went out for loop two. Logan went to the house. He lived right up the road, but he had already done 2 loops. And we were both like, I was like, I'm not running that pace again. He's like, I'm not either. And so we started out, we said we were going to do 9:30. It really ended up being like 9 minutes for a while. When we hit mile 10, I told David, I was like, I've got to run like a true 9:30 now. I can't keep this pace up. So he just kept going, and I finished. I was like, well, I can get a half marathon in under 2 hours. So I was thinking I'll just do that. And he was going to finish up, and he would have been a couple of miles shy of 20 at that point. So he was said he was going to turn around and go back and finish up. I had to do the same to get to 13, but he kept going. He finished really strong. I had very little left, and I did get it done. I think I stopped my watch at 13.18, and it was 157 something and change. But I got back to the car, I downed a water bottle. We took a pic, and I was like, where's the nearest Casey's? I need some Gatorade. So I went to Casey's and got some Gatorade, and 2 big Gatorades, by the way. And like last week, I was like, I'm hungry. I hadn't eaten before that, so I was like, probably need to eat something now. And I was thinking, I'll go home and make some eggs, something like that, make a breakfast taco or something. Well, they already had one of those Casey's. I was thinking I'll just get like a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. But they had like the breakfast burrito thing. It said all the stuff they had on it. I was like, hey, that sounds pretty good. So I got one, and I ate it there in the car with some pecani sauce as it down my Gatorade. Probably wasn't the best idea because I don't think it agreed with me at all. I think that contributed to how I felt afterward because then by the time I got home, I go to the bathroom, and I just had to like afterward, I just had to sit next to my tub or sit on my tub for a while and just recover because I did not feel good at all. I didn't know if I was going to throw up or pass out or what was happening. But I did not feel good, and I was gross. I mean, I was sweaty. I had a heat rash going that hurt, and I was like, I'm just going to go in the living room and lay down and in the floor. So I did that, and I called you, and I was like, "Hey, if I'm call me in like 30 minutes just to make sure I'm all right." Because I was thinking if I'm not better or worse in 30 minutes, maybe I need to figure out what I'm going to do as far as getting better. But I was like, well, we'll give it 30 minutes just to see if I can recover from this. Um, what were you thinking when I called you and you
Okay,
figured out what was going on?
so I I need to give a little backstory as well. So I was in Oklahoma. Um, I was at my best friend's house, and I had told you I had limited cell service out there. So I just happened to be in a spot where I had cell service, and I was like, he's calling. That's weird. He knew, that I was not really going to be able to be on the phone. And then I answer, and at first I thought it was that like the service wasn't great, because you sounded muffled and it was taking you a long time to reply to my like I was like, hello, hello. And then it was finally like, oh, you come in there, miss. What? You can call me in 30 minutes. What are you saying? Like, I thought it took a while. And then I was like, oh, you want me to call you back in 30 minutes. And I was trying to get more information out of you, but I realized I was not going to get anything out of you.
You were asking me like what's going on. I was like, I can't talk right now. Just call me back in 30 minutes to see if I'm okay, was what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Um, for the record, I had forgotten you were in Oklahoma. I had just forgotten. I mean, I was too, don't know that I'd say delirious, but I just wasn't all there. I
Yeah.
had too much going on in my body to be able to concentrate on anything else. But yeah, you were asking me all these questions. I'm like, I can't tell you right now. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't. You were like, well, I need more than this. Is it this? And I was like, I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
just call me back to see if I'm okay. Um, which, by the way, like as I'm laying there, just trying to recover, my cat's just making biscuits right there on my stomach, and just being a cat, I'm just thinking, really, right now.
Yeah.
And she also used that as an opportunity to get on the couch and all that. And was just like, yeah, you would do that right now. But we have a rule about the couch, the cat. But she's a good cat for the record. But yeah, you called back and I think I sounded better. You
You
called
did
back.
sound better. I set a timer for 30 minutes, but it was probably closer to 35 minutes because we were en route to her parents' house. Um, and so you did sound better. You still did not sound great, but you were finally able to answer some of the questions that I had, which was helpful because I didn't know what to do. Like, again, I was in Oklahoma. I was like, what do I do if you didn't answer after the 35 minutes? Like, I was trying to figure out how to get you medical attention. And so I was glad that you answered and you did sound better. You still did not sound great.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I wasn't going to sound great 30
yeah,
minutes later.
but you sounded better and could answer questions. So that was more helpful.
Yeah, I was able to get up and take a shower shortly after. I got stuff out of my car and then I went and took a shower and oh, that burned the heat rash when I washed it. God, it burned. But it's doing a lot better today. So I got that going for me. But yeah, I don't know, it was a tough run. I guess I gotta say it was the tough pace, that
Yeah.
first loop, plus going out again, plus a breakfast burrito from Casey's. Probably all just a bad ingredient or bad ingredients of things to bring together. And what
Yeah.
I got the result after that. But that's what it is. I'm here. I'm doing much better today. So but you and I, we do have another race scheduled for next Saturday in North Little Rock. It's the ARK 5K Classic,
Mhm.
ARK that is, and we're supposed to have some pretty cool temps. At least a couple of days ago, I saw that the high was 80 or something, which is not going to be 80 at the start of that race.
Yeah. It'll be, I think, in the 70s that day. So if we're lucky, we'll be in the 60s for the race, but I'm gonna go with probably more in the 70s. It is still August in Arkansas.
Yes, it'll be August 30th. You have not done this race before, correct?
I have not. This is my first.
I did it last year. It was hot. It was hot for that one. I think I came in 23 something a year ago. And I can't recall, but it was something around that. It was a hot race, but it was, yeah, it was just over 23 minutes. I remember now. It was just over 23 minutes. But I think now I'm thinking twice about it. I want to say it was like 22:50 or something. But either way, looks like we could have some, I don't want to say PR weather, but I mean PR type of weather. So it's we're getting close to, or we're not getting close to that. It's still August, but I don't know. We're going to be blessed with some cooler temps, so I do appreciate that. Do you have do you have a goal in mind for this race?
Um, I was just pulling up. So I did the Hope watermelon in 41:43, and it had those deceiving hills. And I looked at this course um on the website, and it doesn't have any deceiving hills, apparently. Pretty flat. So,
For the most part,
and it is supposed to be cooler. I'm wondering if I could come in under 41.
I think you could. It's just whether or not whether or not you do it. But yeah, I think you could. There's not like it's not hilly, but there are a couple of just like little bitty inclines throughout it.
Yeah.
It's on a lot of it is on a um, like a walking slash bike trail, I think. Uh, not, I don't know if it's a lot, but a good portion of it is. You start out on a road, you eventually hit the trail, and then you turn around and come back at a certain point, and then finish on the road. So it's a good race. It's well done. Um, yeah, I look forward to doing it. I'm glad it's a 5K after these last couple of weekends of long runs. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I'll I'm planning to run again tomorrow and yeah, finish the week strong and training wise and then go into Saturday, hopefully feeling good and 100% and all that. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks because we don't really have anything. We got a few weeks till our next race after that. So, but we'll find something to talk about. But until then, we'll see y'all next time. Um, here on the Tough Runs Don't Last podcast, I'm Grant Powell. That's Michelle. See y'all next time.
See ya.